Marcus Hale had been working at the base for 6 months, quietly emptying bins, mopping corridors, fixing coffee machines no one else bothered with. The single dad who kept to himself. The man who always left right at 1600 to pick up his daughter from school. The man who never talked about his past. Rena had always noticed him, how he moved with careful precision, how he scanned rooms without thinking, how his shoulders tightened at sudden loud noises. But she assumed he'd been a mechanic, or maybe a logistics guy. Nothing unusual, because legends didn't mop hallways. Not until today, the hook begins to sink deeper. What unit? She asked carefully. Marcus didn't blink. Marine Recon, a long time ago. Someone dropped a wrench. Someone else cursed softly. Rena's stomach sank. She'd heard stories every Marine had, but Sticky 6, that call sign, belonged to the recon team famous for rescuing an entire pinned-down platoon during a desert operation gone horribly wrong. 6 men, outnumbered 30-1, not supposed to survive, but they did because one man stayed behind, luring enemy fire away from the exit route, holding position until backup arrived. One man who shouldn't have lived, but Sticky 6 did, and now he was pushing a mop. Rena swallowed. "Sir, not sir, Captain," he said with a tired smile. "I'm just Marcus now." But he wasn't just anything. And she knew it. The unfolding connection over the next few weeks, Rena found reasons, acceptable ones, she told herself, to cross paths with him. A coffee here, a question there, small conversations that grew roots without either of them realizing. Marcus was gentle, thoughtful, and painfully humble. He talked mostly about his daughter, Emily. "She's my compass," he said. "When I got out, I didn't know who I was anymore. She gave me direction." Rena felt something twist in her chest. She understood purpose. She lived by it. But she had never heard it spoken with such fragile reverence. Still, there were things he did not talk about: bodies, battles, the night that made him a legend, the night that fractured him. The challenge that forces the truth, OT word, spread fast across the base after a surprise readiness inspection. Rena's unit was being evaluated for a high-stakes, humanitarian extraction, exercise, one that could decide promotions, funding, and futures. But the young recruits were rattled and disorganized. A few had been showing signs of burnout, and the clock was ticking. One night, long after most had gone home, Rena stayed in the dim training room reviewing tactical layouts. Her eyes burned, her chest ached with pressure she refused to acknowledge. "You're going to wear a hole in that map." She spun around. Marcus stood in the doorway holding a trash bag. "I didn't mean to interrupt." "You didn't," but her voice cracked. Marcus stepped inside despite himself. "You look like you're carrying more weight than your rucksack." She hesitated, then exhaled everything she'd been holding. "My team's failing, and if they fail, that's on me." Marcus's eyes softened. "Then let me help." "You're a janitor," she blurted, then immediately regretted it. "I mean, sorry, I didn't," he chuckled. "Captain, I trained Marines for 8 years. I know how to get inside their heads. I know what fear sounds like before it even speaks." Rena stared. "Why are you doing this?" He took a long breath. "Because you asked about my call sign and you didn't flinch. Because you talk to me like I'm a person, not a ghost of who I used to be. And because you care about your people, even when it hurts." For a moment the world shrank to just the two of them. "Okay," she whispered, "help me." And he did. The rebuilding phase, Marcus began working unofficially, as a motivator, a quiet observer, a man who knew how to untangle fear without raising his voice. He taught them calm breathing. He walked them through problem-solving under stress. He even ran drills with them, though the limp in his left leg hinted at old injuries. At first, the recruits didn't know who he was. But then someone looked up the legend, and suddenly everyone listened. He never bragged, never boasted. He just taught. Rena watched her team transform. Steadier, sharper, grounded. But she also watched something else grow between herself and Marcus: respect, mutual trust, and something warm neither dared name. The emotional breaking point the night before the final evaluation. Marcus found Renee sitting alone on the bleachers, staring at the dark gym. "You did good," he said softly. "They're ready. Because of you. Because of us." She swallowed. "Marcus, why did you really leave the Corps?" He hesitated, really hesitated. Then he sat beside her. "I stayed behind that night because I thought I had nothing to lose," he said. "But then I survived. And when I held my daughter for the first time, I realized I'd been wrong. I became a dad. And suddenly I couldn't be the man who ran toward death anymore." Renee's throat tightened. "That's not weakness." He gave her a sad smile. "Tell that to the nightmares." She reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. The climactic moment, the evaluation day, arrived like thunder. The scenario went sideways fast, unexpected variables, height, pressure, surprises. But Renee's team held firm, breathing through panic, communicating cleanly, adapting like a single unit. They passed with the highest score in 3 years. When the commanding officer congratulated Renee, she felt pride, but also the urge to look across the hangar toward Marcus, standing quietly in the corner with a mop he had temporarily abandoned. In excitement, their eyes met. He nodded. She almost cried. The inspiring resolution later, under the soft evening sky, Renee walked with Marcus toward the base exit where his old truck waited. "You changed my team's future," she said. "You changed mine first." She smiled. "Sticky six, huh?" He groaned. "I knew I should have lied." They laughed, but her laughter faded into something softer, more vulnerable. "You know, you don't have to keep hiding from the world," she whispered. "You still have so much to give." He looked at her, really looked. "For the first time in a long time," he said, "I want to." Renee took his hand again, this time with certainty. "Then don't do it alone." Marcus swallowed hard, emotion catching in his chest. "I won't." As they walked toward the parking lot, toward his daughter, toward possibility, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years: hope. A future, a life beyond survival. And Renee realized something too. Heroes don't always need ranks or ribbons. Sometimes the greatest warriors are the ones who choose compassion after chaos, who rise quietly, rebuild patiently, and love fiercely. And sometimes legends sweep floors until someone reminds them they still know how to lead. The story of Captain Renee Hartley and Marcus "Sticky" Six Hale became one not of battle scars or past glory, but of healing, second chances, and the courage it takes to start again.